Okay, apparently we are live. We are live. Hello, how's everyone doing? Hello, Peter. Hello, Dubai 4WD. Hello, Neville. How's everybody doing? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. And we will begin today's live stream a little bit later than usual. I did have to go to the office to get a few bits done today. So that is why today's stream is a little bit later. I'm going to try and do these Monday till Friday every day. Average out 40 minutes to an hour, maybe a bit longer. Just depends on how many questions come through, what people are interested in, and we can keep them going. We'll try and do it every day, change subjects, do a different thing. Hello, Michael. How are you doing? Just happened to be sitting at the Mac this morning. There we go. Where is everyone tuning in from? Obviously, we are in England, London at the moment. It's been a weird weather-wise today. It was absolutely boiling yesterday. I'm talking like 22 degrees, which is boiling for the UK before anyone outside the UK starts digging in on me for that. It was beautiful today, a bit all over the place, but I am sunburnt for sure. Hello, Peter. How are you doing? Loud and clear. Hello, Andrew. How you doing, mate? My dad's in the house. What up? 2 kibbles. I mean, that's just mental. So, random bits on the table today before we get going. Wristwatch check. I cannot take it off at the moment. Again, you'll have to forgive the audio quality, video quality. Still manually focusing with my webcam. I am rocking the Save the Ocean turtle. Cannot get enough of it. Joe comes in saying he's from home. Good man. That's where he should be. And we have another Save the Ocean here at the moment. Absolutely cool. Really cool piece. Everyone's saying where they're tuning in from. We've got Birmingham, because it's USA, not Birmingham in the UK. Bedfordshire, Dubai. Yep. Hello, William. How you doing? Ex-New Yorker. Very cool. Dartford. Supposed to be working from home. Supposed to be. Where are you working from? Kent. Leicestershire. William's in Leicestershire. That's where I'm originally from. My dad, Kibsnick, is, well, he's actually called Nigel Kibble on here, but his Instagram handle, Kibsnick, he is in Leicester as well. But, yeah, so, Save the Ocean on the wrist, Save the Ocean in the box. So they did 2 different versions. They've got this one with the horizontal lines. It's very similar to the James Cameron, the Rolex Deep Sea James Cameron with the blue that goes to almost a black. Very, very cool. Nice bezel. The bezel doesn't have the same texture that this has, which is almost like a record. And obviously the texture on the dial of this is very, very different, but they are from the same series. Really cool watch. At the moment I got it on the Uncle Seiko bead of rice. Such a cool watch. It's got black on the bezel, black on the crown. Really cool watch. Really, really cool watch. I'll probably be giving this some wrist time this week. Switch it up between one Seiko to the other. We've got random watches on the table, so Michael from Texas, how you doing? Love the blue on that turtle you're wearing. Yeah, I mean, I can't get enough of it. There's a macro post today going live of it, of the shark fin on the dial and the shark fin on the counterweight of the second hand, so keep an eye out for that. Love the gradient. Yeah, you know, I did a post on Instagram asking this or that between these two, and unsurprisingly, this is winning, but this has got a fair few votes, so it's pretty cool. So let's see what people are saying. So is this Save the Ocean watch come out around the time of the Oris Clean Ocean? I think the Oris came out first, if I'm not mistaken. So the Oris did come out first, but these came out not too long after, I believe. I want to say late 2008, 2019, early 2019. Not too sure the exact release date, so you'll have to forgive me. But some of the proceeds obviously went to saving the ocean, you know, the coral reefs and different things. I think they were individual with each one, so because this has got the shark fin and I think it's nicknamed the Great White, again you'll have to forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but I believe it's nicknamed the Great White, so therefore some of the proceeds went to the Great White sharks. Again, I'm not 100% sure. All I know is it has benefited charity, which is cool. Is a Y serial number Explorer 2 White Dial 2004 good purchase? It depends on what you want, really. And again, it depends on the price. It's a very difficult question to answer, really, without knowing the context and everything like that. Depends on the price, condition, set, you know, and depends on what you're buying it for. If you're buying it to hopefully gain value and flip eventually. Again, sorry about knocking the camera. Then, you know, obviously you got to buy a bit less. Million answers to that, but it's an Explorer 2, great watch. I would highly recommend. Gradient dial is cool, but the Sunburst Blue is stunning for me. Agreed. Hello F22 Raptor, how are you doing? From California, I take it, North Cal. We've got some random watches on the table, so we're just going to pick them up and go with them. Let's just pick one out randomly. So, 1940s, approximately 1945, Buren Dirty Dozen. Absolutely cool watch. So, for those of you that do or don't know, the Dirty Dozen was a series of British military watches that were issued or requested for the British military from 12 brands. That's why it's nicknamed the Dirty Dozen. Buren was one of them, and this is a really nice example. They all came slightly different variants. Most of them are very similar. However, some of them do have stainless steel cases, some of them are a little thicker. This is a chrome case, so it's chrome plated, so it will show signs of wear. And the dial is really cool. You got that broad arrow, loads of names for these, you know, chicken foot, people call them all kinds of different weird stuff. What's the subject today? Subject is random, as you can see by the selection behind us. We are just picking stuff up and talking nonsense, which is what I pretty much do. But really nice example, this Buren wears really well, 36mm. I'll show you the case back. So www with the military references and codes. Let's try and get that. So really cool watch. Fixed spring bars, again for a NATO strap, which is what they would have been issued on. Now these watches, the Dirty Dozens, were never really, well, very rarely used actually in the war, because by the time they were released and sent to the British military, the war was almost over. So most of these never saw action, the Dirty Dozens. Buren, I believe 12,000 or 11,000 of these were made total. Of all of them, I believe there was around 125,000. Or it might be 250,000. Again, I can't remember the exact numbers. You'll have to forgive me, guys, with fact checking and everything like that. I am just spouting nonsense off the top of my head, of which I remember. So if it is wrong, feel free to correct me. But 11,000 approximately were made of the Burens. Really cool watch. I was wondering how that name was about, other than the name of the movie. Which name? I'm not too sure what you mean, I'm afraid. Unless you're talking about the Dirty Dozen. But yeah, Dirty Dozen, 12 brands that made watches, you know, the Amiga Vertex, IWC, loads of others. Let's just go with another random watch. Whilst we're on vintage, stick to vintage. So, Dugina. This is a really cool chrono. So, a Value 7734 inside, I believe. Got my little ticket. 7734 tropical dial. Really cool watch, circa 1970s. How you doing, Kevin? As usual, yes, as usual, spouting nonsense. Nothing new. Let's set this 10 past 10, smiley face. Give it a little wind. Really cool watch this. How is everyone doing? The Dirty Dozen, yeah. So the name was given because of the 12 brands. The Dirty, I'm not too sure why Dirty. Probably because of the role they were going to be playing. But there we go. Really cool watch, this one. Nice tropical dial, 1970s. Stainless steel case. Now, you will find a lot of similar style watches of this sort of era. Oftentimes they're either chrome-plated cases or gold-plated cases, and they might have the same movement. You might be able to find them a little bit less, but the thing is stainless steel. It's always what you ideally want. But a really cool watch. I'm wearing a Smith's W10 from 1968. Beautiful. The Smiths are massively underrated. Massively. If you pick up a watch with a dodgy strap, what's your go-to people for replacement strap? So if we're talking leather, my go-to is Watch Gecko. I believe they have a really nice selection and nice offering and things like that. So always recommend Watch Gecko. Another person is the Griff straps. If it's a much nicer watch, much higher price watch, and it requires maybe a high price strap to match, or more of a bespoke thing I've got in mind, I'll go to the Griff straps, based in Belgium. Again, really good guy. Hand makes all of his straps, so I highly recommend him. Another one is cheapest NATOs. They're not too bad, but I just prefer Watch Gecko. Based in the UK, always have sales on pretty much, and really good quality, as well as pretty decent straps. But we're going to crack open a Strongbow. So there we go. I mean, it's nearly 4 o'clock on a Monday. I mean, that's time, right? That is time. Again, apologies, that was probably very, very loud. But yeah, guys, any questions, feel free to ask them. We're just going to pick up watches and just talk about them. So quite a random one over in this corner is a 7 Friday. So I'm not too sure how many of you guys and girls have had experience with 7 Friday, but they're a really interesting brand. They use Miyota movements, and they just offer something really unusual and different. They were sort of one of the first to do this kind of thing, and there's a couple of brands that have followed suit and offer similar styles, not quite the same, but it's just a really, really cool watch. We can see on the back, this one's still got a sticker on the back, barely used, and it has almost like a rubber case. So this, I don't know if you can see, but when I push it, it sort of does move a little bit. So it's an actual rubber case with a rubber bezel ring and everything like that. It's just really, really cool. Very, very different. Watch Gecko have always been reliable, 100% Peter, 100%. And you can see the way it tells the time here. It goes around like so. Just a really cool watch. 24-hour dial over there on the 9 o'clock. Running seconds down here. And an open work so you can see the balance beating away. But they just offer something different. I think we'll do an episode with different watches. I'll get some more unusual pieces. I've got quite a few unusual pieces, and we'll just show off a few of those and what you can get for what price at different price points and stuff like that. If you're looking just for something fun, nice daily watch, quite fun. 7 Friday, yeah. Again, not sure on that one. So there you go. That's the perfect. The first two comments on the 7 Friday are exactly what 7 Friday is like. You either like it or you don't. It's very, very Marmite, which is a UK term, which basically means you either like it or you don't. So I'm going to put this on wrist and show you what it looks like on wrist. I just think they're a lot of fun. They're definitely different. The strap that's on it, I don't believe is an original 7 Friday strap, but it suits it very well. It's the original 7 Friday buckle. But it's just a really, really cool watch. Here we go. Here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. It's by no means a small watch. You know, it's not trying to be. It is definitely being a sort of outlandish statement of something very different and very fun. You know, it's not the kind of thing you'd wear with a suit. It's the kind of thing I would totally wear if I'm going to like the beach or something like that, or going to a gig. You know, just something different, fun, unusual, quirky, interesting. A talking piece for sure. It's a big watch. It certainly is a big watch. Certainly is a big watch. But that's quite cool. You know, you got the orange. I mean, where else are you going to get an orange watch? An all orange watch. Here's quite a fun one. So, Eterna, a brand that back in the day obviously were incredibly sought after, incredibly hot watches, and very well made, and they still are today. But they have reduced sort of their asking prices in a lot of cases. How big is your wrist? 6 3/4 inch. So just under 7 inches. This is an all black Eterna Kentucky. They call it a four-hander. Now it's got a pointer date right there that you can see just underneath their minute hand. This is a really cool watch, massively underrated, and the asking price of this is £800 on the website. And when you think a full set Kentucky, Eterna Kentucky pointer date for that kind of price, it's a lot of watch for the money. Now, surprisingly, you think Eterna and you think ETA, right? Because of that connection and everything like that. This uses a Solita, which was definitely a bit of a shock to me. So not an ETA inside here. 50s TV, yes, yeah, it definitely is that kind of shape, isn't it? But really, really cool watch this. Let me move the hands out of the way. Screw down crown as well. Just an overall really great watch for the asking price. Under £1,000. I think you can even pick these up just over £1,000 new. I think they're about 1.2. Not retail, I think grey market, about 1.2 brand new. So when you consider what you get for that kind of price, it's a lot of watch for the money. You've got signed screw down crown, you're getting 100 meters war resistance, or thereabout, 200 meters war resistance, my bad. It's on a strap which is rubber with a leather style inlay. So very, very resistant and very good. So let me put this on wrist. Thanks for doing these, keep us sane and entertained. No, thank you, Watch Collecting Strategy. These are just a bit of fun for me as well. You know, it keeps me doing something, keeps me involved. Obviously, things are not as they used to be in the trade and just in general. So, you know, you've got to adapt and you've got to keep yourself having fun. But there it is on wrist. Very, very cool watch. What are some good brands for watches from $900 to $1,200? Well, here's one. Here's a great example of that, and I'll show you a couple of others in a second. Eterna offer a great value. Oris fall into that value. Longines as well. They're sort of your mainstreams, and for less, I would always suggest Seiko. I think Seiko offers some great options as well. And again, micro brands as well. There's a couple of options to go with. Again, for less than that. Really cool watch. Really, really cool watch, this Eterna. Is the case ceramic? No, it is a black PVD. So black PVD over a stainless steel. Opinion on Alpha Paul Newman chronograph. I did a full review of an Alpha Paul Newman on my channel many moons ago. Cool watch. I've owned two. One of them did completely stop on me. The seagull movements are notoriously or can be notoriously unreliable, so you sort of, it's a look of the draw really, of whether you get a good one or not. For the price, I mean, where else are you going to get a manually wound chronograph brand new for like £140? I think value wise of what you get, if that's what you're looking for, it's great, but there are things to keep an eye out for. You know, the movements aren't very good, or can be very bad. The screw down crown, the thread goes very easily. And I mean, you get what you pay for. £140 chronograph, you can't expect anything too great. You know, I think for a bit more, I would always, and not just because I've got one for sale, you know, you can find chronographs, vintage chronographs of that sort of style. You know, you've got pump pushers here. Really, really great looking watch. I mean, I'll try and show you another one I had, which was like a poor man's Carrera. What was the brand? Give me a second and I will find it. I will find it. Okay, I can't seem to find it. Forgive me. But there's many options out there is what I'm getting at. There's many great options for vintage chronographs that aren't much more, well, they are more, but I think you get a lot more watch. So, yeah. Yes, Watch Collecting Strategy has got a really good YouTube channel, guys. Make sure you check him out if you're not subscribed already. Don't they have seagull movements in one of those Baltic models? Yeah, they do. But the thing with when you buy like an Alpha or a Seagull, the ones that are £140, you know, they're usually put together quite basically. Whereas a brand like Baltic, they strip them and again, apologies about that. I don't know if it cut out and cut back in. What's going on? Can you guys hear me? I think it cut out and I think it's back up again. Yep, sorry about that. Don't know what just happened. But they strip the movements, put them back together again, and fully service them before shipping them out. So you get a much more reliable version of the Seagull movement. Even though it is a Seagull movement, it's checked over. So no problem, no problem. Keep up the great content. Really cool chronograph here, very underrated, is the Bremont Alt 1C. So this one is the Alt 1C Blue. Really cool watch. The white dials there. Let me come in really close and get that focusing. So this is a chronometer, automatic. London stated down there is 6. They do use ETA movements, so it's not Swiss made. It's not completely English made even. The case is really cool. This is a fully brushed version. You can get them polished as well. I believe if you contact Bremont directly, they can do a lot of things of what you want. The reason I like the Alt 1C is it's got that classic 2-register chronograph layout. You can see right there, you've got the running seconds and 9 with the red 6. Just really cool looking piece. Quite a big watch, but it does wear well. So let's show you the case back. Again, really nice blue suede strap. Bremont side buckle. Hear you okay? Loud and clear. Perfect. Thanks, guys. and I'll show you the case back as well. So Bremont are a English company, started by two brothers, Nick and Giles, and lots of history based on connection to aviation and things like that. Lots of great stories they have, very well marketed in regards to their sort of designated marketing group. They do very well to reach those, and you can see the movement inside with a custom rotor and pelage all over, or whatever they call it. Cool watch. Let me put it on wrist for you to see. Here we go. So you can see on wrist, it's a big watch, but it wears still very well. Again, 6 3/4 inch wrist for reference. Let's get that in focus. And there we go. I believe it's a 42mm case size. Fairly long lug to lug. The lugs do curve down quite well, as you can see from the side profile. And you've got that middle case. So they use what's called a triptych case, which is where it's 3 pieces basically merged together to create the case. So you have 3 completely separate components. You have the top part, where the lugs are completely connected to the top part and the bezel. You have the center case, which is where the movement sits in, basically like a rubber gasket, if you will, massive rubber gasket with anti-shock technology, and then the case back. So that's their sort of iconic case. They use it on almost everything that they make. It's just a cool looking watch. What do you guys think of Bremont? I know they're again a Marmite brand from what I can tell from people. You either really like them or you don't. I've worked retail with Bremont, so I've sold them at retail for a couple of years, so I know them fairly well. I've met Nick and Giles, been to a couple of the events, the townhouse events and stuff they host. Very good events. Again, they know how to do their marketing, that's for sure. So we've looked at a few random pieces. What else should we look at? Let's pick up this crazy Breitling. So this is we were looking earlier at the Eterna, which is PVD. This is interesting because it's titanium and PVD, or black titanium volcanic black, or whatever they call it. Breitling have some interesting names for their watches. So this is Volcano Black, that's what I meant to say, and it's titanium 44mm Avenger Blackbird. Crazy piece, and the texture on the dial. Let me get really close and see if I can bring that macro in. I mean, this isn't bad for a webcam, and you can see it's almost like a black graining on the dial. Really cool. Breitling is another brand that sort of doesn't get the love it deserves in some cases. They do offer some really great watches, in my personal opinion, and pre-owned they're not a bad price either. I like the watch, but overpriced. So there you go. At retail, 100%. Grey market, I personally believe for what you get, you do get a fair bit of watch. But of course, compared to other things you could get, and again, you know, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, but it is a cool watch. It is a very cool watch. Let's set the hands, and I'll show you on my wrist. It is a big watch, 44mm. It's too big for me personally. Oh, I think you were regarding to the Bremont. Sorry, my bad. What's everyone saying? Beautiful understated watches in Bremont. Yeah. Would you buy an Accuracer 40mm or the Black Bay 36? Between those, I'd go for the Black Bay 36. Personally, not to say anything bad about the Accuracer. I think it's a good watch. I've got one for sale at the moment. But having owned the Black Bay and having experienced Tag Heuer, both selling and personally as well, definitely. Can't find a Bremont that I love. I don't hate them though. Fair enough. Yeah, you got to definitely like the watches personally as well, if you're going to own them. Let me show you this 44mm Breitling on wrist. Too big for me personally, but I think if you've got a wrist to support it, it's a cool watch. Very cool watch, and I think on a black NATO or something like that, I think it'd be awesome. It comes on this sort of almost green khaki fabric strap. Definitely too big for me, but what a cool looking watch. And again, that mix of titanium and black, it's almost like a black coating over the titanium, so like a PVD. It just looks awesome. Proper stealth. Massively underrated, and a massive watch. Love Bremont, but people I think don't like them for what they did years ago in marketing. They claim their movements were in-house when it wasn't. Yes, and again, Tag Heuer is still living the pain of doing a very similar thing with one of the movements, which turned out to be a Seiko. Seiko technology or whatever it was something like that. So yeah, Bremonts have made mistakes, a lot of brands have made mistakes, 100%, and I think the way they handled it was poor as well. So I do agree. I think a lot of people still remember that, and rightfully so. I don't think you should just let people get away with stuff that they shouldn't have done. I mean, it was they added a lot of money to the price for that reason, and it was obviously made by the same company that make the movements for Arnold and Son. Nothing wrong with those movements at all. It was an incredible movement, but it wasn't in-house, so again, false advertising. I like the idea of Bremont, but I prefer dressier pieces, and with London being on the dial, I wish they were made in Britain. Yeah, I mean, the way they get away with London on the dial is because it's designed in London, as far as I'm aware. Again, to be made in Britain, they have to go through very similar restrictions like they do with having Swiss made on the dial. You have to have a certain percentage made in the UK. They make their cases, they do their dials and different things, but the movements aren't, and I believe some of the components aren't as well, so they can't class them as made in the UK or made in Britain. Waiting for their in-house movement before I take the Bremont plunge. Yep, they're working on a in-house as we speak. I remember 2 years ago, they were talking about it sort of much quieter than they are now. Now it's sort of a public known fact that they're working on it, but 2 years ago they said they were working on it. So I think we're getting close, and it'll be interesting to see what it is they actually bring out with their in-house movement. We'll wait and see. But in regards to in-house movements, I wouldn't shy away from something that isn't in-house, because you have a lot of benefits with something not being in-house. So an in-house movement, obviously the brand has to make that movement. When we're talking like a brand like Bremont's, they're still relatively, in regards to brands, a small new brand. They've not been around for donkey's years. So when a brand like that makes an in-house movement, it's mainly them, unless the architecture is similar to other things, it's mainly them that are going to work on that movement. Now, if anything bad was to happen, like obviously what we're experiencing right now, this can affect brands, and we're seeing it already. And I hope that every brand makes it through the coronavirus okay, but I think we might actually lose some brands. Now, if that was the case with Bremont and they had an in-house movement, you're now left with a watch that probably very few watchmakers will be able to do, and the premium of servicing that or fixing that movement will go up exponentially. Whereas a basic, for example, well, not basic, but a Valjoux 7734 that's in this is pretty much forever serviceable as long as you've got a good watchmaker. So there are definitely pros and cons to in-house versus normal or just off-the-shelf movements. I'm not really sort of a die-hard has to be in-house or has to be ETA. I don't really mind. I don't really care too much either, as long as I like the watch, and that's the most important thing. But there is definitely something to be said about having an in-house movement. Looks pretty cool. Breitling makes some cool stealthy watches. They definitely do. Again, underrated. I've got a few Breitlings for sale at the moment. The only issue I find with Breitling is most of the time they're huge, and I just can't wear them. But there are some great options. Vintage, especially. Early 2000 Breitlings, I think, are pretty cool. A lot of brands are guilty of not being clear to consumers. RWC, Cartier, just to name a few. Yeah, there's a fine line between claiming something is in-house when it completely isn't, and then giving something a different reference number for the movement, right? So the brands like Breitling, or actually most brands, they will give the movement an in-house number, but it's not an in-house caliber. So for example, the easiest one probably is Tag Heuer with a caliber 5. It's a Solita SW200 or an ETA 2824. So it's not their own in-house movement, but they name it their own in-house name. So that's where the other brands are being sort of guilty of not being clear, if that makes sense. Do the ADs get big commission on Bremont? They're pushed really hard every time I go in. It's not that they get big commission, it's that the brands don't, and again, sorry, you're getting pushed quite hard when you go in. If you show interest in a Bremont and you know them, it's a big deal, because most people don't know Bremont at retail, right? So when you're selling retail, you're selling to your average consumer, your walking client, the same client who's maybe going in to buy a t-shirt and then just happens to look at watches, right? So they'll know Tag Heuer, Rolex, Omega, and things like that. So if you mention the name Bremont, all of a sudden we know we've got someone who knows their watches. So at a retail perspective for that retail seller, they've all of a sudden got someone who knows, so therefore you feel a bit more comfortable going into detail about it. It's the same with brands like Oris. You'd be surprised how little or how few people even know about Oris. So again, if someone comes in mentioning the name, you're at a higher chance of selling to them because they know the brand. And Bremont is one of those brands, so that's probably why it's getting pushed on you when you go into retail. In terms of commissions, commissions don't change as such for most retailers. Again, every retail store is different, or every company is different on how they work with commission. Not every retailer even uses commission. I've worked in stores where commission isn't a thing. So again, it varies. They do incentives. Bremont do a lot of incentives where you sell X amount of Bremonts, you will get a £500 gift card or £100 gift card, and so on and so forth. So it could have been that you might have gone in during an incentive period where a desperate sales team is pushing every Bremont. So as British brands go, I prefer Fairer to Bremont. The designs are much cooler. Yeah, I've had a few Fairers. I know the guys fairly well. Handled and experienced quite a few. Had the Hudson, which was it the Hudson? I think it was called the Hudson. Really cool watch. Absolutely love it. Fairer, Fizz, or Christopher Ward for me? Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I'm good friends with Nicholas over at Fizz. I've helped him out at many events. Really big believer in the brand. I think what he's doing is incredible, and what he's got coming up is incredible. And the reason I really like Fizz over the other ones mentioned, like Fairer and Christopher Ward, nothing against those at all, but they definitely seem to do what most brands do, which is ticking boxes, right? They bring out a chronograph, they bring out a diver, they bring out this, they bring out that, they bring out this, so on, so on, so on, until they have a catalogue full of what every consumer would probably want, right? Whereas Fizz is making watches that Fizz would make, right? The Brunswick, the Redcliffe Continental, the Streamliner, things like that. It's not a tick box game with Fizz, and that's why I think they're going to last the long run, and also be worth the most in the long run. Sorry, my neighbours are deciding to cut the grass, so let me shut the window so you don't hear that. Large profit margin. Large profit margin on Bremont. I mean, for the brands, what you got to remember is the seller at retail are usually not communicated what profit margins are, and I can say this from experience. You know, they don't usually get told. So from their perspective, they're just going off what the incentives are. So that might be the reason. But commissions don't usually change from brand to brand. But a 1996 Breitling Colt automatic, very slender at 38mm. Yeah, the Colts are awesome. I've sold a couple of those white dials. The white dial automatic on a bracelet is a very, very good watch, and quite an affordable watch as well for what you get. Fizz are super cool. Yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are. Let's take a look at another piece. This is a cool piece. So, everyone knows I love Zenith. I think massively underrated. And I think vintage Zenith is going to be the next big thing. And again, by that I don't mean like tomorrow. I mean it could take a few years. But here is a really cool one. Let's give it a wind. Boom. So, this is the Chronometro Tipo CP-2 El Primero. So really, really cool watch. El Primero inside. I just love the design. Based on their older style, very similar to Breguet and brands like that did this kind of style on the pilot's watches back in the day. Really great looking watch. Bezel is super cool, proper throwback to how the vintage bezels on these chronographs used to be. Really cool loom as well. Again, quite a big watch. No exhibition case back to show the El Primero. Quite a big watch, but it should be. You know, it's a pilot's chronograph watch. Again, very similar in terms of its two-register design that you see here on the Bremont. I think there's a nice beauty to a two-register design. The registers on this are quite a lot closer to the center of the dial. The reason being the dial is quite a bit smaller. Obviously, you've got the bezel on there as well. Really great looking watch. No date, and I think the fact that they resisted the urge to put a date, which every brand seems to battle with, is a good thing. You know, you don't always need a date, in my opinion. You got pump pusher style, really, really cool. Zenith signed crown, and on the wrist, again, as I said, it is a big watch, but it should be a big watch, and I'll just rest it on my wrist to show you. There it is. Probably a bit too big for me personally, but I think if you're in the market for a chronograph and you don't want to go down the usual routes, you know, your Daytona or your Speedmaster, you want something a bit different, a bit more quirky, maybe something you won't see every day at all, Zenith is always a good option, in my opinion. Even just the classic El Primeros, you're not going to see as often as a Speedmaster or anything like that. Cool watch. Let's see what everyone's saying. Let's get that back in focus. I did buy the Pendine from Fairer, but I have to admit I returned it. I felt it didn't fit me too well. It didn't seem to have a problem with online buying of a watch you can't try. it does seem to be a problem with when you buy an online watch. I'll try on first. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, there is something to be said about trying on a watch first, and of course it's always ideal, but as long as there's a good return policy and the place you're buying it from is reputable and reliable, then that's the important thing. And again, what you've just experienced there is why that's important, because you got it, it wasn't quite for you, and you managed to be able to return it, so that's why it's important. Nice, had the dark green grey dial, very nice. ETA Tudor Black Bays versus the in-house. Are the in-house movements worth the extra thickness in your opinion? Personally, the Tudor Black Bays divers wear quite big in general, in my opinion. I much prefer the 58 dimensions and the way that feels. For me, a diver max is 40, and the Submariner is perfect dimensions. I'll show you that on my wrist. Again, I've got 6 3/4 inch wrist, and it definitely is personal preference. You know, I think this wears beautifully. Now, the Tudor Black Bay in-house, I don't think is worth the extra thickness. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with an ETA. I prefer the cleaner dial on the ETA as well. Again, nothing against the in-house. I think it's a great watch, great movement, a lot of improvements. It's not like, and this is an important thing, they didn't just create an in-house movement and keep all the specs the exact same as what you got with the ETA. They actually did bring out a far superior movement to the basic ETA. So with that regard, obviously you do pay a premium, and like most brands, they didn't, unlike most brands, they didn't add that premium on to be ridiculous. A lot of brands, when they do an in-house, all of a sudden they just slap 2-3 grand on top of the price, and it's like, based on what, you know? Whereas I remember when the in-house were introduced, and we still had ETAs in the window when I was working retail, and we got the in-houses in, and it was only £300 more retail from my memory than the ETA, so they priced them so competitively, and it just sort of scared off a lot of the competitors. So, how you doing, Longhurst? How are you? Tudor ETA is better in my opinion. Yeah, I think, again, it comes down to what you want, right? So if you've already got a fairly small wrist, and maybe you're on the border with the Tudor Black Bay wrist presence, then the in-house is going to be a bit more difficult to wear because it is a thicker watch. So again, with all that in mind, you know, try and choose what's best for you. Definitely. Love Zenith, and I have one of the favourite divers, the Rainbow Elite Mango dial. Very cool. The Rainbow, the Zenith Rainbows are just mental. Mental. I think Zenith are really cool in general. They were totally cool, and taking it back. Yeah, Zenith, I think, are just a really great brand. What haven't we looked at on here? I think we looked at everything now. Oh no, we haven't. The Omega. I just bought this out because I think it's really cool. Really gorgeous 9 karat gold vintage Omega from 1958 off the top of my head. Let's see. 1958, yes. A Denison case. So Denison were a case manufacturer used by many brands back in this sort of era. And Omega most commonly were used for them. So you could find the same reference, one with a Denison case and one without, and the case on the Denison typically were better, especially in gold. They're just made better. Denison were sort of master case makers back in the day, so it's one thing they did really well. I'll show you this on wrist. Really cool. So here it is, gorgeous piece. Now this one does have patina, and patina is a very interesting subject in itself. So some people say patina is just damage, and patina is damage most of the time. Yes, it's age to the watch, and it's the way it's developed that age. Sometimes it's water damage, sometimes it's a load of different things. The most important thing with patina is honesty. So showing the close-up photographs and how it's flaking or how it's, quote, damaged, and letting the consumer be the judge. You know, there's a lot of dealers out there which just sell hard on patina being this incredible thing, but you've got to be honest. So for example, a spider dial, when the dial starts to go spider, as they call it, is the dial cracking. It's a damaged dial. It looks cool, and again, that is subjective. In my opinion, it does look cool, but that will start peeling off. Like, those pieces will start breaking off, and it's not good forever. So a watchmaker, most watchmakers, when they see a spider dial, their first thing they want to do is replace it, because it's a damaged dial that's going to cause problems. So again, these things are things you've got to do your due diligence on when it comes to patina. So yeah, but this is cool. Nice patina, as we've just said all that. 9 karat gold, really nice condition. Really cool piece. I'll show you on wrist. Dubai asks, Lumtech question mark. Yes. What about them? Lumtech are cool. I have owned Loometech personally in the past. I had the M54 Bronze way back in the day. Really cool watch. I've got the M78 Middle East edition for sale. I know the guy who runs Dubai or Middle East for Loometech. Really cool guy, really cool brand. And I will definitely have that on one of these episodes soon. I've got one of them with me, so we'll show it. But that is it on wrist, 34mm. Considered small to date. Personally, I think it looks beautiful. I can wear things from quite large case sizes down to small case sizes. It comes down to personal preference. I don't think there's a right or wrong to what you prefer. Gorgeous piece, gorgeous piece. And right now, priced, and just to give you perspective, priced at $650 on the website. So for $650, you get a vintage 9-karat gold Omega. I mean, it just shows what you can get for under £1,000. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. For example, this watch under £1,000, an Eterna Kentucky 4-hander, black case, full set. You know, crazy piece. Under £1,000 if you're looking for just something bonkers and fun. Under £1,000 for a vintage chronograph with a tropical dial, called tropical because of the colours. Again, you know, Seiko Turtle. This watch will probably be for sale at some point. Really cool watch. And then obviously gold Omega. Can't really go wrong. Can't really go wrong. Let's see what everyone's saying. Do you think the crazy stuff will be over before Red Bar Global Meetup? I hope so, Peter. I mean, we can all hope. It just depends on what kind of social distancing measurements they continue to provide and sort of enforce on us. Because just because this is over and we're allowed to go back to work and continue as, quote, normal, doesn't mean we can go 100% normal, because it's a virus at the end of the day. So we could have another wave, and again, I hope that doesn't happen. But the government and the scientists are obviously the best people to know what to do, or try to know what to do. So we'll just have to listen to the advice they give. So hopefully it'll all be done. Heard some geezer found a vintage Seamaster in an old soda cup at a football game. Just mental. I mean, Daytona was found in the bottom of a sofa. I mean, these barn finds are just crazy, aren't they? This is what I've been waiting for you to pick up. Gold Omega. Yeah, it is. 1958 would be a perfect birth year watch for my dad. Nice one. Well, you should definitely send him my way. John says, thank you, James. No, thank you, John. Thank you. But, yeah, cool watches. The only watch we haven't really talked about is the Daytona. Jesus. You can tell I've got isolation brain kicking in. The Submariner. So, cool watch. I mean, there's not really much else to say, is there? Everyone spoke about the Submariner. Everyone knows it. It is a classic. What do you guys think? Do you think they're going to release a new upgraded version with a better movement? What do you guys reckon? What do you think the brands are going to do? I mean, do you think they're going to postpone it for this year? We'll have to wait and see. But Submariner is a classic. Can't go wrong. I'm waiting for my Omega or Rolex barn find one day. Yeah, same. I'm waiting for my my Daytona barn find. Cool watch. Can't go wrong with Rolex. Best clasp in the game, in my opinion. I mean, it just works, doesn't it? It just works. Oh, sorry about that. Any questions, guys? Anything you wanna ask? Only just tune in. Kids been playing up. Oh, get them involved. Get them involved. Come on, kids. Let's learn about watches. There we go. Yeah, I'm quite glad I haven't got kids and everything in this lockdown. My heart goes out to you guys and girls having to deal with that and home teaching and everything like that. I would not want to be doing that at all. At all. What would you guys be choosing between these two? I did the poll on Instagram, and so far the Seiko on the left, the Save the Ocean, Great White, or whatever they're nicknaming it. They've always got nicknames. Is winning. Which one would you go for? Both pretty cool. What's a good vintage watch you have? I will show you. So I have quite a few personal vintage watches. But this is by far my favourite and one I've had for a long time, and anyone who knows me or has met me has probably at some point seen me wearing this. This is my 1976, 75, I can't remember, it's just left my brain. I was only talking about it on the other stream. Zenith Defy, really, really cool. Integrated bracelet, such a cool watch. And it's of the era of obviously Gerald Genta, and it's, you know, obviously there are design cues and everything like that. There's no denying it, but it's of the same era by a very, very good brand and built insanely well. I mean, look at the thickness of those links, and they are solid bits of steel. And I don't know if any of you guys have handled the original AP 5402 or the original Nautilus. The bracelets are terrible on both of them. They are flimsy, the clasps are awful, the push pin link, they're just really, really bad. Whereas this is incredible. This is built so insanely well. I'll show you on wrist. Here we go. I mean, look at it. And the way that bracelet plays with the light. And this has never been polished. Let me get in nice and close. That macro in. This has got the original graining still. Original polished parts. And this is one of the first watches I ever did a trade for. So I saw this watch on a Instagram account, and I was like, I love that. How much is it? And we talked about price, and I just didn't have the money at the time. And I says, all I've got is obviously my own watches. And he saw that I had a Tissot Visidate that I'd recently got, and you know, fairly well, not worn, which brand new. I bought it for me, or got it for me. Really loved it, and he says, how about we just do a straight trade? And I was just like, absolutely yes. So I straight traded for it. I enjoyed it for a while, and then I sold it, and I was missing it so much I managed to buy it back off that person, and again I carried on enjoying it, and like a fool I sold it again because I needed some money at the time, and luckily that person got bored of it at a point where I had the money to buy it back. So this watch has been around. It's left me twice and has ended up back with me each time, so it's never leaving again. I've had it now for 2.5, nearly 3 years, I think. Such a cool piece. I mean, it's in the photo I put on Instagram today, on the story, showing my collection, I think 2 years ago, and it's in there, and it's still with me today. Cool piece. Kevin says, tell me more about the turtle. So, Save the Ocean, that's what it is. Currently on the Uncle Seiko Beads of Rice bracelet, just because I think it looks cool. It comes on a black rubber strap, which just wears far too big in my opinion. Seiko turtles on rubbers, like, what wrists are they made for? I mean, I've got a 6 3/4 inch wrist, so quite a small wrist, granted, but I mean, I'm putting it on like the very last one, and the black, the end of the rubber just sticks out. It's horrible. So on the bracelet, it goes really cool gradient dial with the lines there, and it's almost like the James Cameron Deep Sea, the way it goes from black up. Save the Ocean because it was part of a campaign they did where it benefited charity, so a really cool concept with it. Special edition, not limited, and I've got full set with all this. It's one that probably will be for sale, but right now I'm just enjoying it along with my personal one. This is one that I don't think I will sell for a long time, but you never know with this one. Left one, yep, the Jubilee style just looks off on that big case. Yeah, it's an aftermarket, so it doesn't come with this. I personally quite like it on the Jubilee, but I know most people don't, for sure. The box looks awesome that you have the watches. Yeah, this is a Wolf watch box. You can buy them from Wolf directly. I think they're in some retailers as well, but obviously you can't go to those right now, so stay at home, buy online. But cool watch boxes, I've got quite a few of them. They're very good. They're great for displaying. You know, I use them in the office when clients come to view some watches. So yeah, it looks good. Beautiful Defy. Love that watch. Yeah, you can't go wrong. The Zenith of yours is very nice. Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool watch. I've had it for so long now as well. It's just part of who I am. I mean, another dealer had one a little while ago, and he named it the Kibble Defy. So, I mean, I've got a white dial being worked on with my watchmaker at the moment as well. A white with gold on the inside, so gold hands, gold indices. Really cool piece. So keep an eye out for that. That will be coming to the website at some point. I have no idea when, but it will be. Royal Oak knockoff. I mean, it definitely is of that era, isn't it? I mean, being from 1974, 1976, can't remember which one. In my opinion, it gets away with it, you know, and also it's from a cool brand, and it's not a direct rip-off. You've got very similar to the Royal Oak and Nautilus combined, you know. You could believe it was a Genta design, basically. Oh, and another thing, screw-down crown. How random. A screw-down crown. And it's reverse as well, so first position is to change the time, and the final position all the way out is to change the date. So a little bit different. Not a push-pull date where it springs out like a couple of the Amiga calibers, but an actual pull all the way out and change the date. Theo, your son says he likes the blue one, the best Seiko. Yeah, I mean they're cool, aren't they? Can't go wrong with those. Straight Trade, you won that one, I think. Yeah, I mean back then though, these were probably only selling for like 300-400 quid, and that was 3 and a bit years ago. I mean now I wouldn't know what these are priced at. You can find Zenith Defies, but not usually this reference in this style. They're usually very different, non-integrated bracelets. The cases are completely different. The Defy ranged, or Defi ranged, I think is actually how it's pronounced, which just sounds wrong to me, so I say Defy. Covers such a wide spectrum of watches. Back in the 70s when this was made. So yeah, it is a cool watch. It is a cool watch. It's good to have a watch that every time you wear makes you smile. Yeah, definitely. You've got to have watches that make you smile at the end of the day, and that's the important thing to remember. And I say it so often: buy what you like, and that is the reason I sell things from this bonkers 7 Friday, which most people don't like, but to those that do, it just makes them smile. You know, I put this on and I have worn this out, and I think it's just so fun. Like, it's ridiculous, and that's what makes it fun. I had the Dietrich OT Organic Time as well, and again, that's a very similar thing. It's just fun. And I think we forget that sometimes. We get so caught up in the hype, you know, wanting the hype watches. What's the watch that's going to go up the most in value? What's going to be worth X in X amount of years? And I think this virus is, and of course, it's a horrible thing, and we'd never wish it on anyone. But the what it's done to the climate has made people realise these aren't investments. Of course, there is instances where the watches will go up in value, but these are things that you should enjoy. These are expensive toys at the end of the day, as Roman Schaff of Luxury Bazaar in America always says. These are luxury toys to be enjoyed, so buy what you like, buy what puts a smile on your face, and who cares about how many likes it gets on Instagram, you know what I mean? It does not matter. And that's why I sell such a spectrum, you know. I sell things that I just think are really great, you know. This Eterna Kentucky forehand for under £1,000, full set. I just think it's a lot of value for money. Again, solid gold Amiga from 1958. It's just a beautiful watch. It doesn't have to always be hype. And yes, I do sell the hype, and I do enjoy them, because I mean it's a business at the end of the day. Got to remember that. Hey, do you think Breitlings are worth to invest in? Perfect question, Joshua. So just as we were talking, don't buy for investment is my opinion. If you're looking to invest, buy gold, buy silver. Silver's down at the moment in price. I'm talking bullion, so investment grade, raw materials. It's always a good bet. You know, diversify your assets, but don't invest in watches. Buy what you like. Now, if you are hung up on that idea of buying something you like that you can wear, that hopefully you can sell for at least the same amount, if not more, in the future, we all know what the answer is going to be. It's almost always Rolex. You know, buy a Rolex. That's where it's at, and all that sort of stuff. But in general, buy what you like. You know, if you like the Breitling, who cares? As long as you can afford it and you're not, you know, putting yourself in a financial position. And the good thing about watches is, granted, if you bought this Breitling retail, you would definitely lose money if you tried to sell it once it's pre-owned. Of course, there's no question. Like that, and that's the same for most watches. People think if they buy a Rolex, like a Datejust at retail, they've got a good price and everything like that. But if they wanted to flip it there and then to a dealer would probably pay under retail, because, well, I mean, they don't trade much over retail. So these are important things to remember. So buy what you like, first and foremost, always. I'll be keeping an eye on the white dial Defy for sure. Yeah, definitely. Once it's here, I'll let you know, and obviously you'll see it. It's a cool watch. It does look cool. Just getting it. Unfortunately, the person who owned it before, and I didn't realise when I bought it, and these are the mistakes you make. It's fine. I didn't. They had like 3 pictures and they were terrible, and the watch is completely polished. And obviously the watch is not polished, so my watchmaker is doing his best to put in the finish back in without losing too much metal. But obviously it's a tough one, so hopefully it's going to look as best as possible. It's not going to be like this one, never polished, but again, you know, the price will reflect that. So Seiko 5 watches are great dive watches. Their diving range are good. Yeah. Their new 100 meters water resistant, non-screw down crown. In the last episode, dive watches, I talk about dive rating and dive watches and things to sort of keep an eye out for. So be sure to check that one out if you haven't seen it. Yeah. Buy what you like, but don't buy anything to make money. Yeah, I mean, the way I see these and way everyone should see these is these are fun things to wear and enjoy. You know, if you're wanting to invest in things that are actual investments, right? You know, gold bullion is always a good investment instead of putting it in watches, you know. And also you need to determine what you're investing for, your term, you know, how long. When you're investing in raw metals, it's not a quick turnaround. It's not something you invest in to flip out of in a year and make X amount of percent. You know, it's something you invest in for 10, 20, 30 years, sometimes a lifetime. You know, I know people who have huge amounts of raw gold bullion, you know, solid gold, 24 karat as it is, 99.9%. Gold bullion coins, and they have loads of them, hundreds, and that is their retirement money, you know, not watches. So be wise on why you're investing and what you're investing in, always. You know, unless you're a trader. Obviously a dealer has to think of these things. That's why we have to buy in below market value and sell at market value, or, you know, it's just how it goes. Unless you're in the industry. And again, this is the important thing to remember, and I find myself having this conversation a lot. This is still an industry, meaning there's still people who make a living from this and still people who consume it on a basic consumption level. That's why retail exists, right? They sell Michael Kors to people who want Michael Kors, not to people who are looking for an investment or anything like that. So it's still an industry, and just because we are watch aficionados and we're into it and this is our hobby doesn't change that basic fact. It's like people who are into cars. They understand that the car market is still a normal market and still has to abide by normal market rules. So it's something to remember, especially when selling your watch. You know, understand if you want the most money, you're going to have to sell it yourself, and you're going to have to sell it to a collector who also wants that watch. Whereas if you're going to a dealer trying to sell your watch, understand that this is a market. Just because you like that watch and you know it can sell for X amount doesn't mean we're going to have to pay X amount because we've got to make money, right? It's important things to remember. But also do your due diligence, so you know if a dealer is just trying to lowball you for the sake of lowballing you. Again, it's an important thing, and I find myself talking about it a lot. Roman Schaff over on Luxury Bazaar, he covers it in great detail. He even breaks down the math of why dealers offer what they offer. You know, there's many things like tax, VAT, you know, office, salaries, all these things we have to pay for, which a collector who most of the time works a job, this is their hobby. So they don't have to counter in these things when they're buying or selling. So things to keep in mind, was a bit of a tangent, hope you didn't mind. I like wearing something you don't really see on other wrists. If you like wearing something you don't see on other wrists, then always just go with something either crazy or vintage. You know, vintage, you're probably not going to see someone else out there wearing a Dirty Dozen. It's just not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. And if you do, you're probably going to have a really great conversation with that person. Roman's channel is amazing. 100% agree. I think he's probably one of the best YouTubers right now. Just completely honest about everything. Yep, from Vostok to Cartier. Yeah, man. Hey James, how you doing? Completely forgot. No worries, Enzo. Hope you're keeping well. Hope everyone's keeping well. Hope everyone's family is okay, you know, during these tough times. You know, of course it's difficult staying in, and it's difficult mentally sometimes, but the important thing to remember is, you know, as long as you're healthy and the people around you and the people you care about are healthy, we've got it easy, and that's the important thing to remember. Agreed, I can't understand buying a watch any other way than purely because I love it and I want to wear it, and selling it never comes into my mind. Yeah, and William, that's what us as dealers and most dealers are trying to find when we sell someone a watch. You know, we want to put our goal, or at least my goal, I'll speak for myself, is to put this watch on someone's wrist who's going to enjoy it. My goal isn't just to sell this for the most amount of money. It isn't just to sell it to whoever wants to buy it. And of course, if someone makes an inquiry or wants to buy it straight off the website, they're more than welcome to. But I want to connect someone with the watch. That's always the goal, you know, because at the end of the day, when you're selling things as varied as this, it's not because you're just looking for profit. I mean, I would be much better off just completely trading in Rolex, right? I do this because I enjoy it, and I enjoy the feeling you get when I do this What's on Your Wrist series on Instagram, where everyone sends in their wrist shots, and there's a guy or girl sending in a wrist shot of a watch that he bought off me 2 years ago. You know, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy seeing someone who bought a watch from me and still enjoys it to this day. You know, that's what's important to me. And again, I know circumstances change, opinions change, minds change, tastes change, and that's why I'm here to also offer the ability to sell your watch again. So, you know, that's the focus for me, and for a lot of other dealers. You know, I'm not really doing anything crazy new here. Obviously, when I first started this about 4 years ago, it was not often done what I'm doing with the whole consignment side of things, but now it's quite a common thing, and I'm glad, because it's a much better way for both the end buyer but also the collector with the watch. You know, it gives both parties on both sides the best chance. But yeah, guys, any other questions, let me know. We've kind of covered every watch on the table briefly. Any questions about the watches on the table, or just general questions, trade questions, anything, shoot away. Otherwise, I think we'll be calling it a day. I think we've hit an hour. Yep, it looks like we've hit an hour. So good job, everyone. This is a team effort. And I definitely want to say thank you to everyone who tunes into these. Again, the structure is still very loose. You know, I'm trying to make these work. I'm trying to make them entertaining whilst also just very relaxed. You know, I saw Oriel Backs of a Blog to Watch doing these, and I just thought it was a good idea. I completely ripped it off of him. So I hope he doesn't mind. I'm sure he doesn't. He probably doesn't even know who I am, which makes it a lot easier. But yeah, just have a bit of fun. And everyone, just keep healthy, keep well. And remember, if everyone around you is healthy and well, we've got it easy. Might have to stay inside, but it's for everyone's benefit. So yeah. Want to purchase a watch I love from you in the very near future for that reason too, my friend. No, I appreciate that, William. I really do. And when that time comes and you know what that watch is, do get in contact. I source watches as well. It's not always just what I've got on the website. I do sometimes have watches that aren't listed for sale, that may be in my safe, that I don't really want to part with yet. But if someone is wanting that particular piece, you know, I'll do my best to either source it or point them in the right direction if I can't source it. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. I think we're going to call it there. It's been very, very fun. I always enjoy these, and we're going to make it as regular as a series as we can during this lockdown. And thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care, guys.